space. Welcome to the show. You're watching Gemini 9 from, I think it's the summer of 1966. The monkeys were coming out. First grade, baby, for me. Doing some docking maneuvers. Very high quality footage that we certainly never saw back in the day. Welcome to a show about everything, number 5. Oh, is that on? I am your host, John Deecken, and we're coming to you live from beautiful downtown Bridgeport, as we do each week at this time. I appreciate your watching, and I want to remind you, you can watch our previous shows and all future shows in our archive on YouTube/A Show About Everything. Also, you can email us, a show about everything at gmail.com, and we'll be opening up the phones in a short time after some conditioning. We want to show you some reverse propaganda. We're going to have the phones open at 203-345-0103. We want to just do a call out to the Space Shuttle Discovery on 27 years, 39 missions, just wrapping that up, pretty much wrapping up the U.S. manned space program today. Nobody really knows what the heck they've been doing up there with those dozens of missions, creating who knows what. I mean, I know they have the space station, but a lot of secret stuff up there that I'd love to know really what they're picking up. I also want to mention the lunar perigee you may have been hearing about and wonder why you need to think about this every 19 years, is that I think there's a perigee every couple of years, or it's more often than 19 years. The 19-year thing is the metonic cycle, which is, I think it's just the extreme nature where it's very close. It's the most close it'll be, but it still gets kind of close more often. We'll have to study that in a future episode, but you've been hearing about the perigee, so that just means perigee is this bigger, apogee is back further, and that's about a 10% differential in regards to the moon. That's why you get the variations in the eclipses, the solar eclipses, because the moon doesn't always block out the sun 100%. One other item, I guess that was it. Oh yes, the 60-year-old, want to give another call out to the 60-year-old albatross who had a child, or sired it, whose egg hatched. It was the oldest bird ever to parent a offspring. I'd like to keep you all informed about the latest in extreme nature and science, and I just thought that fit in there somehow. Okay, let's move along now. If you're not tired of me talking yet, try this on for size with the face matrix rant. Hieroglyphics, and taking some measurements with our caliper, we were finding that by measuring the extreme width or height of a object, we could kind of read where the important point is here, the fulcrum. Then as we shrink the extreme end down to that fulcrum, we find the secondary fulcrum, which is surrounding the main device, the scarab. And if we bring up this end to replace that lower end, we get the perfect division of the body of the scarab, which incidentally matches that of the top view of a human skull. We'll show that to you another time. And this, of course, rotates to determine body details there. We have here 3 very different faces, but I just want to show you how the width of the eye, when using the caliper, the golden point is showing us the interior edge of one eye. So when we rotate this, we try to match the third eye with the tip of the nose and the bottom of the lip. We'll try it for each fellow here. Each a very different race, but we're going for the eye sockets and the edge of the skin, not just the eyeballs. So here, rotate that. He fits. This gentleman over here will fit also. This is just to show you that very different looking people have the same underlying matrix. And a lot of people say it's aesthetics or it's so-called beauty, but that's a mistake. Because, you know, all things are beautiful. It's not just the pretty things. Here we have the famous bust of Nefertiti from 1300 BC, and we're going to demonstrate that she is in perfect golden harmony. That's the size of the width of each eye vis-a-vis the width of the entire brow area. And then when we rotate this, bottom of the lip, tip of the nose, third eye. And if we enlarge upon that, we'll get the crown matching with the chin. And with the front view of Tutankhamun, the eyes are perfect, and we'll rotate it. There we go. His crown is almost in position. There's some variations on this whole theme, but the edge of that hairline is pretty close to being right there. See? Now, it goes without saying that almost everything in here is golden to something else, whether it's the edge of this, you see? The difference of the thickness of those sections. How about the height of these two guys? The vulture is 61% as high as the cobra. And if I rotate it, they probably fit within the width, because there's definitely a very consistent message here. Here we have the famous golden mask from Mycenae. This is about 1500 BC. Very different style. It's a face. It looks kind of crude, but somehow they found the ability to perfectly place those eyes. And when we rotate this, it's pretty close to being the same matrix that we find in the other faces. You might not expect early American Indians to have been familiar with the golden ratio or any type of higher math, but they found perhaps an innate ability to hit the nail on the head. And if that's accidental, well, Easter Island, you may ask. Very different style compared to the whole rest of the world. These are pretty unique faces, but do they obey the face matrix? There's the width of the eye section. It's a little bit on an angle, but not quite the same, but almost as long as the nose. Could it be just a different set of ratios? Let's check it out. Let's just see if this whole head is golden. There's the length of the head. Oh, look. The golden point of that head is pretty close to the bottom of the nose. Let's just rotate it and see if we... No, don't get it. We don't have a match there. A little bit there. But let's flip it. Okay, the jury's out on these guys, but I see some golden potential there. Here's one of the massive Olmec heads. I think these are from about 1000 AD. And you wouldn't think this face has much in common with Nefertiti, but it does. Let me rotate. This one goes, let's get this exact. I'm getting confused now. And we rotate this guy. Maybe from the little dot to his, seems to have a little Kirk Douglas dot. Let's touch upon that and go right up to his wrinkle. It's touching the top of his lip. Let's rotate it back. That's a pretty good match. Oh yeah, and of course, when you have headdresses, it's almost always at the golden ratio of the height of the head. So, pretty consistent with the worldwide theme. Here we have a piece of mammoth bone, mammoth tusk, carved by what must have been a primitive caveman, maybe 25,000 years ago. All right, thank you. That was our little golden ratio section of the show. We're going to move on now to, well, it still relates to the golden section. That's the golden spiral of the DNA molecule. We're going to give you part 2 of what we saw last week. This excellent real-time animation.
Complete. It snakes away from the nucleus and into the outer part of the cell. Then, in a dazzling display of choreography, all the components of another molecular machine lock together around the RNA to form a miniature factory called a ribosome. It translates the genetic information in the RNA into a string of amino acids that will become a protein. Special transfer molecules, the green triangles, bring each amino acid to the ribosome. The amino acids are the small red tips attached to the transfer molecules. There are different transfer molecules for each of the 20 amino acids. They all carry a specific 3-letter code that will be read by the machine. Now we come to the heart of the process. Inside the ribosome, the RNA is pulled through like a tape. The code for each amino acid is read off, 3 letters at a time, and matched to 3 corresponding letters on the transfer molecule. When the right transfer molecule plugs in, the amino acid it carries is added to the growing protein chain. Again, you are watching this in real time. And after a few seconds, the assembled protein starts to emerge from the ribosome. Ribosomes can make any kind of protein. It just depends what genetic message you feed in on the RNA. In this case, the end product is hemoglobin.
All right, that's the fascinating world of DNA that we love to share with each other here, because it's completely amazing, and what's going on at that microscopic level. Not simply what humans can do and manipulate, but what the DNA does by itself is just unbelievable. We're going to get to the second part in a minute about the Mars thunderbolts theory that we showed you last week. We have a little more of that because I think it's very important to be familiar with. We want to show that to you. I want to just give another call out to NASA for doing a good job and finally discovering something extraterrestrial. That's the meteorite that you might have heard had the fossilized microbe that looks familiar to some of the scientists. Also, there were other signs of other possible fossils that did not look familiar. The word strange is what I read. But the most interesting thing is if it's a similar creature. Obviously, the implications are pretty clear. If a microscopic entity that came in on a meteorite can be determined to have existed here already, and we know it, I think the neighborhood's expanding. But no, what I mean to say is this is pretty important, and I hope you all are following the news in general in that regard, and follow up these stories. In the mass media, they never really give you an intelligent presentation of any of this stuff, so you really got to dig a little bit. Let's go now to the planet Mars with some great computer graphics and some real photos. And this is Wallace Thornton and his theory of the cosmic thunderbolts.